Hey there, YouTube. Petey Twofinger here with a quick tip on using super glue to avoid getting stitches on a small wound. Number one, never use super glue on your face or near your eyes. Never use super glue on a deep wound. You should only use super glue if the wound is about an inch to 3/4 of an inch long. Never use super glue on a wound that is bleeding profusely. Never use super glue on wounds that are over joints or parts of the body that flex. Never use super glue on infected wounds. Never use super glue on wounds that are a result of an animal or insect bite. Never use super glue on puncture wounds in general. Never use super glue on dirty or unclean wounds. The concept is you're going to be using the super glue to completely seal this wound. So in that train of thought, we want to really clean it out extremely well. In my case, I went ahead and used a toothbrush that's not for brushing teeth. It's just a toothbrush that I use. Clean with alcohol. I use soap and water, and then I used alcohol after that. The story was I had received the stiletto knife. I was oiling it. I had my finger up in the area where the blade comes out, and I was gonna actuate it to put oil on the other side of the switch, and I had my finger in the way. The knife came out and sliced it really good. And I'm a guitar player. That's where the cut is right where I prep the pressure point to hold my guitar pick. So it was very avoidable, really bad idiot move that I made. Anyway, there's another video review for the Switchblade from Fastlick, which is an excellent knife, but completely avoidable. And today we're here to talk about the super glue. I was bleeding a lot. I really should have went. I think I could have got 2 or 3 stitches out of this because of the amount of blood. And we managed to pat it dry. There was a lot, just blood everywhere. Put some ointment on it. Put fold up a paper towel. Put that on there. A Band-Aid over that, and then a bunch of masking tape, and then a bunch of electrical tape, and then that started throbbing. So I cut that 2 slits in that on the back to give me a little bit less pressure on it. About a half hour later, it started really going numb, and then so I cut it with a scissors to relieve some of the pressure, and then wrapped another piece of masking tape over it, and ended up falling asleep. I went to bed, woke up about 12 hours after the incident, cut this bandage off, and this is what, from just removing the bandage just for a second, that was the amount of blood that I lost from playing around to remove the bandage. So I thought, my wife brought up the super glue. So we looked it up, and the thing is that I'm smearing old blood very near my eye now. that's on the list. Do you see it?
You have a whole there.
From handling the.
Put your paper towel. Don't get alcohol in your eyes. Well, no, you can put blood by your eye, just not super glue.
Yeah, you don't want to put. Well, you really don't want old blood in your eye.
It's yours, it's okay.
Petey's health and safety videos. Infecting himself with black bile. So, yeah, it's 12 hours later. I wake up. I'm in a lot of pain. We removed the bandage, and it's just blood everywhere. So my wife grabbed some super glue that we had here. It was kind of, actually, I found it. It was on my tool bench, and it wasn't coming out the tip. So I poked a hole in the side with I carefully used my X-Acto knife, poked a hole in the side. It's kind of like gel. What came out of it was like kind of half dry, and I tried to transfer that. I thought, well, maybe it'll transfer, quickly. Transferred it over onto the cut, and that stopped the bleeding, which was very weird. There was no apparent transfer of that hard super glue. It was just like rubbing it on there made it stop. So maybe on some like very small level, like microbial level or smaller than the eye could see, that It may have just been a coincidence. All I know was we needed to get some super glue. So we run to Walmart, 4 o'clock in the morning, which I have to say was rapturous, being the only ones in Walmart. And getting all my masking tape and primer, rattle cans and stuff that I get from Walmart, cat food, and super glue, and rubbing alcohol, all that stuff, and not really having to run into the large people that waddle in Walmart that won't get out of your way. All of that wonderful stuff. So we come home and basically use soap and water and a toothbrush, not an in-use toothbrush, but scrub brush to clean all the blood off of the area as best as I could. Pat it dry, and then I'm using alcohol and Q-tips and really getting in there, giving it the business, because we're going to be sealing this cut up. So we don't want to have like a lot of, rather go through the pain now of the stinging from running alcohol through the cut than having it get infected. So I can't stress that you really, if you're going to use a super glue, you're really going to want to make sure that you do a good job cleaning the wound and making sure that it's as bacteria free as you possibly can. So in my case, that was using soap and water, patting it dry, and then a bunch of runs of alcohol. And then cleaning all the dried blood off from around the wound. And at that point, I took the finger and pressed it into the door frame till the cut joined up, till it was just flush with itself. And then I ran a little bead of a brand new tube of Krazy glue. It was Krazy glue is what we bought. It was $1.77 for a 2-pack. And what they mentioned in this fact was that less is more. Also, you can use things like an emery board to file it later on to remove it. They mentioned that musicians using Krazy glue to make a faux callus. Like if you were in a recording session or playing live and you were having issues, you can use super glue, which I never thought of that. I tape my fingers up with hockey tape and then put masking tape over that so it'll slide when I'm recording a bass track, because I'm used to a 6-string. So yeah, I was absolutely thrilled about applying this small amount of super glue and having all of a sudden the pain just melt away, as the super glue said. That's what I was hoping for. I was in a lot of discomfort as the evening wore on with changing that Band-Aid. The idea of putting another Band-Aid on and having this thing take forever to heal wasn't very appealing. So I'm glad that we went and tried. I finally tried super glue, and I'm going to give that a huge thumbs up. This is something I'm going to be using that. Petey's home surgery. So if you're out there and you're ugly, no, if you're out there, be careful, especially if you're a goof like me and you're in possession of something as silly and dangerous as one of these things. Take care of yourself. Peace.